World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Good afternoon. Tony Rogers here, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War. I hope all is well. We've had a weather roller coaster. One day people are out with shorts, the next day, they have their winter, four layers of winter clothing on. So it is that time of year. I hope all is well. We are entering, or we're in actually, Women's History Month. And for many of the Irish listeners and friends, happy St. Patrick's Day. There's a lot of interesting Easter and Ramadan at the same time, so there's different celebrations that are taking place during this time of year. One of the things that I would like to do before I introduce my good friend and guest is to talk about the WHCR fundraising drive that's going to go on for this year. This is the 40th year. 2026 is the 40th anniversary of WHCR. And WHCR has been the voice of Harlem. Actually, I was part of giving it that name many years ago. And I did a number of things with WHCR with the help of the borough president, Virginia Fields, at that time. We raised about $4 million to jumpstart the radio station at that time and hire Angela Horton, who now has retired. Now Keziah Glow, who grew up doing things because her dad was an engineer at WHCR. But the bottom line is that we're celebrating our 40th anniversary. We're asking people to go to WHCR.org to make a donation. We're We have a 40 on 40 plan where if you donate, since it's the 40th anniversary, we're asking people to donate $40 towards uh, our upkeep. And you don't have to be $40. Whatever you can donate would be great. It's not for profit, and we are the voice of Harlem. And thanks to WHCR and the partnership with Soul City, we were able to stay on even through the pandemic, based on this show here. You get a lot of information. We have to support each other. You have to support Soul City, WHCR, Harlem Community News, all of the media that speaks for you and represents you, you should support. Nevertheless, one of the things that I would like to talk about, and I will talk about it briefly, but we'll do more about it, on April the 30th, in partnership with the Leonard Davis Performing Arts School at the City College of New York, WACR will have a major international jazz concert at Aaron Davis Hall. And it will be, again, one of the major events for our 40th anniversary. Of course, there will be things going on during Harlem Week and the like, but this will be the last time that Aaron Davis Hall will be open for 2 years. They're closing down for renovations. So this will be the last concert there. Allison Williams and a lot of entertainers are coming out to celebrate. So again, you can go to wacr.org to find out information about it, but we would love for you to support us in some kind of way. wacr.org for our 40th anniversary. Now, I would like to talk about something that is very close to me, and that is my relationship now with Ghana. And one of the responsibilities as being a chief is to begin to bring economic development opportunities to northern Ghana, as well as education concerns. We are working in conjunction with the City College of New York and the University of Development Studies to develop a student exchange, faculty, educational concepts and options between City College in Harlem and the University of Development Studies in northern Ghana. That's for the education part. Our cultural tourism activities will always be in December. That's a big time in Ghana, and that is what allowed for me to receive a title. I helped produce it for the last four years, and it has helped. On economic development, we're talking to a number of different individuals and businesses from the diaspora to return to Ghana, which is what my charge is. And my next guest is one that we're in talks at this particular point of time with this concept of bringing the diaspora back, the business persons, the people who have been successful. My guess is, well, this is African. I like to say that we're all Africans born in America, and we just passed the African History Month, and now we're in Women's History Month. So my first guest for my show on Women's History Month is a person who has made history. Celeste Beatty is the first Black woman to own a brewery in America, perhaps the world, I would imagine. and she now has the Harlem Brew in all over the place. As a matter of fact, remind me to give a shout out where you have your tastings. I saw that in the email. She has, and she's all over the place. Her beer was in the Olympics in China, and she has in London and not all over the place. This young lady has taken it to another level, and I couldn't think of a better person to have to celebrate the achievement of African women in America, and she's definitely a first. So please welcome my good friend and partner Celeste Beatty, the CEO founder of Harlem Brew. How are you, my dear? I can't hear you. Your mic.
Yeah.
That's I can hear you now.
Yes, I said thank you, Tony, and thank you, Chief.
Well, it's a interesting responsibility. It's something that I think will allow for me to have a chapter in my story, which I will be the proudest of, and that's coming full circle and beginning to find a way to bring people like yourself, businesses like yourself, back to the motherland, and it's just exciting. We've gone a long way, but you have done so much. Tell the listeners a little bit about you, because there may be some who might not know your story of how you got into brewing and what you had to do in order to open up your first brewery, and then your products and where they are and all of that. So can you give us a little information about that before we get into some things that are current?
Well, first of all, again, thank you. I started.
You're choppy. Your sound is not that good.
I wonder what that is. I'm hearing it. It's kind of making some weird noises. Can you hear
Yeah,
me now?
yeah, he can hear you. Just static a little bit. But
Yeah.
go ahead. Keep on.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah. I started homebrewing here in the 90s, and like many homebrewers, made my beers inside of my apartment at the time on 123rd Street across from Marcus Garvey Park. I'm an avid gardener, so I worked a lot in the local community garden, planting food, flowers, all types of plants and vegetables. But I've always loved cooking with beer and wine and different things. And a friend of mine got me a home brewing kit at the time, and I started making small batches of beer during that time and fell in love with it. Learned about the history of brewing in Africa, had a chance to travel there, and just really enjoyed the whole community craft and culture side of it, being able to make beers that celebrate our history, beers that are embedded in our culture as people from the African diaspora, but also beers that were tasty and beers that I love to cook with. And that home brewing kit is what piqued my interest about really thinking about going beyond home brewing into opening an actual company which brewed beer. And that's sort of where those beginnings were. Really just touching on things that I enjoyed cooking from my southern background in the Carolinas, bringing that here to Harlem and connecting with so many of our uh, family members, friends, and many that came through the Great Migration, bringing that food and culture. That's a part of it that I absolutely love. And it became a big part of my journey,
Mhm.
enjoying the cooking and learning about the history, but also looking at it as a way, a canvas to celebrate our history on the labels and through our activities. Came to Harlem my first time in 1975, first Harlem week. We walked down 125th Street with my family, came to visit cousins that were born and raised in the area. En route to our next stop, which was Chicago. So I remember that first Harlem Week event that we attended, immersing myself in the history and culture, and eventually moved to Harlem in the 90s, wanting to connect to that whole spirit.
Well, again, one of the things that I am very happy about our relationship is that you taught me so much more about beer. Is just not just beer. I remember going into your garden in your Harlem apartment at the house and in the back, and you were showing me the different herbs that could be used for different municipal
Yes.
uh, things, and I had no idea that a lot of the products that you develop are for good, happy fun in drinking beer, but also can be very helpful as far as your health, especially the non-alcoholic beverages that you develop. And you have a book. You have a cookbook. Tell us a little bit about your book.
I do have a cookbook. Having grown up in the South, the book is completely influenced by all the amazing food that my family and many other Southern families and Caribbean families make. The book is called Harlem Brew Soul, so it talks about Harlem, my experience here, my journey here as a kid, family members, history of Harlem. Brew is all about beer, how beer is made, how it's influenced by many of the African tribes, including Ghana, that have made beer for millennia. So we talk about that history and how that survived the transatlantic slave trade. Many of us brewed here. A lot of people don't know it, but we have a deeply embedded history, not just in Africa, but we brought those skills here. And then the soul part of it is all about, the soul of the food, soul food, what that is, all the amazing dishes. We have beer mac and cheese. We have beer battered catfish, which Norma Darden made when we launched at the Studio Museum on June 19th, 2001. She made a dish with the beer battered, the catfish fingers. So all those different recipes are a lot of the recipes we grew up with, whether we were born in the southern part of the country, and some of the recipes are also influenced by African and Caribbean dishes.
How many different types of beers do you have now on the market?
We currently have 6 core beers. Our first Sugar Hill Golden Ale, which we just relaunched in bottles at Sylvia's Restaurant. That was our first account, the first beer we launched. We also have Harlem Renaissance Wit, which is made with the West African spice, Grains of Paradise. We have our Harlem Queen Stout, which is a chocolate coffee stout that we originally made with coffee and chocolate from Haiti, Ethiopia, and Kenya. We have our Harlem 125th Street IPA, which is made with a lot of hops. Hops are part of the cannabis and hemp family. It doesn't have THC, but it has a lot of the properties and nutrients that people love, that are healing outside of beer.
It
And
would
we
be
have our
interesting if it could put. It would be interesting if THC could be in it now, based on how some of the laws are. But that's another
Yeah, that's
story.
that's a tough one. And then the other beer that we have is our Harlem Coconut Cream Pilsner, which is dedicated to all of our Caribbean Harlem icons like Schomburg and Claude McKay and many others. So that coconut being such a major uh, fruit or item in the Caribbean is sort of a toast to that.
Now,
That
how does that taste? Give. I mean, would you? It's we're talking about a beer, right?
Yes, yes.
And how do you kind of create that type of flavor and that type of? Is this is this beer alcoholic? I mean,
Oh
is
yes,
it?
it is. It is. It's with beers, you can take a pilsner or a lager. People know Corona, they know Stella, they know Bud. Craft beers have those different styles. And some of the things you can do, if you like that base beer, you can add strawberry, you can add coconut. There are so many natural extracts that come directly from the plant that are able to capture the intensity of the flavor from the coconut or the strawberry or the blueberry. So you're able to infuse that into the beer. Typically, it's at the end of the boil or right before you bottle a can to keep
Mhm.
the flavors, because if you cook it, you can cook it out of it if you put some of the flavors in there. So that is one of the ways you're able to add layers of flavor is you brew that base beer and you're able to infuse it with flavorings, much like other beverages that you might make with the fruit.
It's interesting because we just celebrated the 100th anniversary of the Savoy, as well as the 100th anniversary of the first Harlem Renaissance,
Yes.
because it all happened 100 years ago. When I was listening to you, and I had never brought this up before, but I suppose during Prohibition, the idea of being able to make your own beer, because they've been doing bootlegging, especially in North and South Carolina, for I don't know how long.
Oh
But
yeah. Yes,
I
we
guess,
have.
how did the beer fit into that? Is there stories about brewers in the
Yes. Yes,
20s and
there are.
30s?
Well, we know about the prohibition in the 30s, 20s, and 30s,
Mm-hmm.
but there was prohibition for African diasporic people that were freedom seekers here throughout the entire hundreds of years that we were enslaved. But because we kept those crafts and those skills behind the scenes in the woods and hidden places, we
Mm-hmm.
continued to make it. So it was prohibited for us to drink it. It was we did make it, but it was prohibited for many years for throughout enslavement for us to drink alcohol, but we were able to
Yeah,
make
because
it.
you probably wouldn't take all of that BS if you had a little bit of alcohol in you,
Right,
right?
right. But during the prohibition, as we know here, people continued to make beer and make moonshine. Many of us have family members that have.
Oh yeah, I can.
Some of us don't want to talk about it, but
Yeah, South Carolina boy, you know.
yeah,
Uh, you know what?
yeah. But I did want to add that a lot of the breweries that were in business, they weren't able to make beer. They made ginger beer. They made non-alcoholic
Mhm.
beverages that didn't have alcohol in it. But the bottom line is people did continue to make their home brews in small batches behind the scenes.
What type of non-alcoholic beverages do you have?
Currently, I am testing on a small scale a prebiotic beverage that's made with indigo tea. So,
Hmm.
as a farmer, we work with a group of black farmers in the South, and one of them specializes in indigo tea. I'm
Right.
thinking indigo for dye. You can use it as tea. Yes, I didn't know that. So he splits the plant. He uses some of it for dye, and he uses some of it for consumption. It has a lot of natural antibiotics in it. So we're working on canning tea in collaboration with him. We also make working on non-alcoholic beer, where you extract the alcohol from the beer, much like some of the other non-alcoholic beers you've probably heard about. We do craft sodas, just like soft drinks, but they're more natural, made with purees of blueberries and different fruits that come in seasonally from the local farms. So those are some of the
Where do
things
you
that
distribute that, Celeste? The
we'll be
last.
launching it in North Carolina initially, and then hopefully eventually here in New York. So we're brewing in North Carolina now. We're brew here in New York with our collaboration brewery about 45 minutes from Harlem,
Mhm.
Garnerville, and then we brew in the UK. So
So you're
different,
international now. What
yeah.
was, in your view, the most popular beer when you were at the Olympics in China?
The most popular beer in their country or for us?
No, from you were
Oh,
there,
well,
and
John
people were
Long
you,
from the
huh?
Asian American Business Development Corporation specifically brought in beer, our Harlem Sugar Hill Golden Ale.
Uh-huh.
That was
So
the
that
beer that
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 was
was,
the most popular Harlem Sugar Hill Golden.
yeah,
What about you're in Great Britain, right? You're in
yeah, yeah.
what's the most popular beer there? The,
The
the
beer that we
South?
have there is our 125th Street IPA.
Okay. So through your beer, you're actually allowing for the world to understand Harlem. It's like a marketing component, well, which is a segue into some of the conversations that we've had about coming to northern Ghana and creating that type of opportunity, which is really part of the charge that I received as far as finding businesses like Harlem Brew and creating a way to develop the cultural and business exchange. And one of the things that was also important as we've been having meetings, Zoom meetings, and one of the things that I really thought was interesting is having the cans and having the machines where the cans can be collected and used as an economic development opportunity, as well as the non-alcoholic beverages, because many of the population in northern Ghana are Muslims who sometimes drink beer, but not publicly. But but the non-alcoholic beverages are they're like. With that in mind, what would you, from just your, because you haven't really been there, but what would you think would be the most popular beer out of your stock in Africa?
I think, well, out of our beers, I can answer that two ways. Currently, throughout the continent, there the stout beer style is very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a stout type beer.
Right.
Lager beers, or lighter beers, pilsners and lagers are also quite popular there. I would say definitely our Harlem Lager, because that kind of aligns with the type and style of beer they make. But I also think our Harlem Renaissance Wit, which has cumin and coriander and grains of paradise, which is a peppery, citrusy, peppercorn type spice that is from Ghana and Western Africa. I don't know that they make beers with that there, but it's a very popular ingredient for that Belgian American style beer. And I think if we're able to share that beer with those spices that are pretty commonly known by different names there, like the wit that has so much spice into it, I think that would potentially gravitate to the community because these are spices that they cook with. I love cooking with the Harlem Renaissance Wit because it has a lot of layers of citrus and spice and infusing that into the food, and it imparts a lot of layers of flavor. So I'm really excited about being able to talk about that beer and share that beer because that spice, which from history I understand when pepper was for whatever reason unavailable, the
Mm-hmm.
second option was grains of paradise from the West African coast. And this is a history I learned from brewing, and it's an exciting history to know that that spice, if you've ever tasted or smelled it, it's so unique, and it's right there from West Africa. So I really look forward to sharing that, and I think it will be very relatable to the
Mm-hmm.
community there. I believe, but hopefully we'll have a chance to get their feedback.
Well, where we are now, and we'll go through the logistics on our meeting on the 18th. It is
Yes.
to select one or two cases that will include the samples that, such as what you were saying, obviously. But as I was thinking about it, we might have to develop some text just to indicate what you just made clear to me, as the fact that there are certain beers that you're already developing that have a direct connection to the African, which is not surprising because you're African. So, so and I lost you, but the idea that Celeste was braiding to be is the fact that there are so many things that sometimes we overlook the fact that we are African. We are Africans who were born in the Caribbean. We're Africans who were born in America. And not only are we Africans, we come from our ancestors who came through the there were three slave industries. The transatlantic slave trade industry was the one that did the most damage, I would imagine. But there are others. So when you think about it, I remember being in Ghana and at the first slave camp in northern Ghana, and what was made clear that especially in Ghana, same in Senegal, the route from the slave camp to in Ghana, Cape Coast or Accra, killed so many who were not strong enough to make that trip. Once they made the trip, the boat ride, the ship, was so horrible that they were not, most died. Matter of fact, I know in Senegal, the feeding patterns of the sharks changed because so many slaves either killed themselves or died. But what that means is that we here, the stock is comes from the best that Africa could give. And Africa, is the birth of mankind. So there are many inherited genes that allowed for the brilliance that not only that you see in Africa, but the Africans. Everything that we talk about in Black History Month, or what African Americans or Negroes or Afro Americans have achieved, we're Africans, and we're the ones that have allowed for us to survive based on that heritage. So, Celeste, when you talk about what you're doing, it just allows for that understanding to be clearer. You're doing things based on your ancestral connection, your DNA. It's in you, in order to do that. And that's a wonderful thing. Tell us about your experience with President Obama. I think that you were involved in a project with the Obama administration. Talk a little bit about that. Can you hear me, Celeste? Can you hear me? I
Can't
see
hear
you.
you.
You can't hear me. Okay. I will then, hopefully, it'll come through. But at the opening of the Civil Rights Museum in Washington, Celeste, her beer was selected as one of the beverages that would take place, uh, and Obama's and all of the dignitaries were able to be introduced to Harlem, which and that was interesting. Celeste, you might try logging in and logging out again if you can hear me, but she might not. So, um, one of the things that we should also talk about, and we can do this, is some of the things that has happened as it relates to an economic development opportunity based on what Celeste has been able to do as far as creating jobs. And uh, the wonderful thing about it is now we are talking about having an opportunity to to come full circle, to be able to create, and that's the whole idea of this uh, um, diaspora beer. I'm I'm looking at the Harlem Ghana Diaspora Brew is one of the names, but obviously, we'll figure that out. But the exciting thing is And what is great that Celeste has been able to do is to use her product to promote uh, Harlem and very unique. So wherever people throughout the world, whether it's London or China, I think there's some in Nigeria, they're able to understand that this is coming from an African woman who is promoting one of the greatest communities in the world. Can you hear? Are you good? She's still having a little bit of problem, and there's so many other questions that I have for her. I hope so well, she's going to be, Celeste is going to be in um, Harlem for before she goes to North Carolina, I think to the end of the month. So we might do this again because there's so much information that we haven't been able to cover, and I want to make sure that you get this. Celeste, are you there? She's trying, but uh, as relates to some of the things that are taking place here, I know, and if I can't get to it, I have to look in my phone. I know that there's going to be a number of food testing uh, in Harlem while she's here, and I believe at Whole Food. Can you hear me, Celeste? Okay. What we're going to do, because there's a lot of information, we're going to make sure that we uh, do this again, because there's a lot of information that I would like to talk about. I would like for Celeste to respond to, and I'm going to, while she's in the neighborhood, ask her to do it again, maybe even next week. We'll have to just look at the schedules, because the information about what she's doing is the type of story that can be very helpful as we talk about the diaspora and allowing for the diaspora to return home. Not only that, there are many things that those who might want to uh, do some of the things that she was able to do and create a business. Many people cook, many people have dishes, many people, especially from many of the Africans that were born in America or the Caribbean, have businesses, and that's because they were able to come up and enjoy cooking, enjoy the hospitality industry, and begin to take advantage of that as a business. And the greatest business is one that you're doing something that you would do anyway, something that you would love. So, again, there are a lot of things to learn. I would like to uh, say to Matt, what we're going to do is hopefully next week, and if it is, we'll try to send out a notice to make sure that we're going to repeat this, because I think that the show is one that's important. One of the things for those who are in Harlem, the Harlem Tourism Board will have its first networking meeting on March the 25th, which will take place at the Harlem Renaissance Marriott on 233 West 125th Street from 6 to 8. It'll be on the fifth floor. And if you're interested in coming, you can actually call 917-821-7099 and indicate that you heard it on the Urbanology show. and we'll make sure that your name is on the listing. So again, one of the wonderful things that are taking place, and I'm so happy that Soul City will be able to. Uh, hey, Celeste, are you still there? Are you there? Did you make it?
Yeah, I got on my laptop.
Right. What I was just saying, I want to do another show
Oh,
so
sorry.
that we can have kind of like uh, there's so many things that I wanted to talk about and I wanted you to talk about. Uh, and since you are here in Harlem, maybe I know that you're doing all kinds of things, but maybe we could figure out a way to, whether it's next week or the week after next, to come on again and have this conversation because there are a number of things that I wasn't able to say. What I would like to do, you are doing testing, I think in Whole Foods.
Yeah, I'll be doing tasting demos at all the
Tasting,
Whole
not
Foods we
testing,
see. Yes.
tasting. Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you know those dates? Do you know when you'll be there?
Yeah, starting tomorrow, there are 10 different locations I'll be doing between tomorrow and the 29th. I can share those with you.
Okay. Uh, can you tell us a few of them now and the times for the listeners?
Uh,
We're going to do this again next week.
yeah, I can tell
Oh,
you. I can tell you. I will be tomorrow. I'll be at 97th Street. That's sorry, October, March the 18th, and then I'll be
97th Street, is that a venue?
all the Whole Foods. These are all
Oh,
Whole Foods.
all of the Whole Foods. Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
So 97th Street, Bryant Park, Chelsea. I'll be in Harlem on the 20th on 125th Street, of course.
Hmm.
And then East 57th, Columbus Circle, Tribeca, Union Square, Upper East Side, Wall Street, and Fort Greene. So we'll be
so,
sampling the beer at all those different
so
locations. And
you,
when we sample, we talk about Harlem, we talk about history. It's Women's History Month, so I'll be talking about different women, Madam C.J. Walker, and other women that were part of now current day and past history. So that's part of the conversation that we have when we're at the table, talking about Harlem, talking about the Harlems of the world. As I used to love to hear Lloyd Williams say, so the Harlems of Rocky Mount. There's so many links as we know. Harlem has touched every place, so it's always a lively discussion. Sometimes people walk up to the table and sing, Take the A Train and various songs. It's just a beautiful experience. You never know who's going to, when we do the tastings at Bryant Park, we're right in the middle of Broadway. So people from off Broadway, Broadway plays, they come through to get food and drinks. And it's just an amazing experience. So I'm looking forward to coming back to the space at 125th Street because I always run into my friends and neighbors and people I haven't seen in a long time. It's like a big reunion. So
yeah, that we have to kind of promote that now, let everyone know. Matter of fact, it's March the 20th, did you say?
for the Harlem location, it's March the 20th from 4
Right.
p.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, so we're and I know that it may be a bit much, but if we can do something else during March on a Tuesday, that would be great. But there's a lot that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, yeah,
And by the time we come back again, we'll have a little bit more information, obviously, about what's happening in Ghana based on our conversation with John Wong yesterday, who
yes.
seemed to be excited about the venture that we're talking about.
He's
And
very excited, and I hope to get some of those details that he asked for today.
okay, and with all of that that's going on, we definitely need to find an hour to sit down to have a,
Yeah,
so you have to look at your schedule and give me some idea of of when that might be able to take place. Maybe um, we'll do a breakfast or a dinner at the Renaissance on the 20th when you're at the Whole Foods. So that might be
Okay.
that
Yeah.
could be that could
Yeah.
be something that we can perhaps work out. Let's look at that, and hopefully John, because he had expressed some enthusiasm, I'd like to talk a little bit more about some of the things that he's doing in the Asian community.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, he had a great deal influence in order to get your beer into the Olympics. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, we'll be able to use some of his knowledge in order to make sure that we do some things in Africa.
Yeah, I think he's a tremendous resource and very, very focused on the new majority campaign and mission.
Hmm.
So he's definitely the guy in terms of finding those common threads that bring all of us together. So
And when you moved back to North Carolina, did you find it easier to find product and with the farmers there than when you were doing things here? Even though there are farmers
well,
state that you deal with, right?
yeah, I would. Well, just so many of our farmers are in the South. So yeah, it was very easy to connect with farmers, particularly our farmers from our community, Black farmers. So, just it's like the HBCUs. The majority of the HBCUs are in the South.
Hmm.
So much of our farmers are in the South. So they're with all the ways we connect now. They're very accessible, and there's a lot of wonderful things happening with the churches, local organizations to bring that fresh produce and other stuff that they do directly to the community, which is a beautiful thing.
And you're in London. You have a partnership with distributors. Is London, is it, or
In
what part
Brixton,
in
Brixton,
Brits?
the Harlem of London.
I know that we were talking about perhaps doing some Harlem Bristol
Oh
uh,
yeah.
marketing things. So somewhere down the line, we can look at that. I've never been to Bristol, but when you say the Harlem of London, is that because there are a lot of Africans there?
There's a huge, historically, and a huge community of African diasporic people there from all
Hmm.
over Africa, the Caribbean. That is Electric Avenue. Remember the song? So that is all embedded in Brixton and the Brixton Market, which is where the tap room is. So I
That's
mean,
and what and I guess.
I would just add that all the people that performed at the Apollo, Jazz at Lincoln Center, all these cultural institutions, part of their tour was hitting Brixton and all over London. That
Mhm.
was, yeah.
Interesting. We, as I said before, there are so many things. It must have been a difficult journey to establish yourself and own a brewery in America to be the first. Being the first is never easy. You get a lot of, credit for it. But what were, besides being an African woman, what were some of the hurdles that you've had to overcome in order to establish yourself to the point where you could say, I'm the owner of a brewery in America?
Well, one of the biggest challenges was actually opening the physical brewery because there are brewers that have bricks and mortar breweries, and they're brewers that brew beer. They're very passionate about brewing beer, and they work with other breweries.
Hmm.
The biggest hurdle for most of us is actually being able to own a bricks and mortar brewery. That continues to be a hurdle. We have a space in North Carolina working on. Challenges abound because of the rules and regulations about church and
Hmm.
alcohol. There's
Hmm.
so many different factors. So I think that was one of the biggest factors is finding a place that was appropriately located. I'll never forget sitting down with Reverend Doctor, the late Reverend Doctor Calvin Butts, talking about a brewery.
Mhm.
That was interesting, and he was like, "Okay, I'm not going to endorse it. I think the spirit of what you're doing is good. I won't tell my congregants to make it." He said, "Look, you should be able to do this. Everybody else is coming uptown from everywhere else doing it, so I'll support it in that regard." And he was very encouraging, and shared information. But the biggest problem, I think, is real estate. We
Mm,
don't own a lot of it, and a lot of the breweries you see, 9,500 breweries, bricks and mortar breweries across the country, they have particular access to real estate and funding.
mm,
So there are different ways you can come into the industry. Our way was, home brewing. Then I had a teaching space, kind of a live work space, Airbnb, and people came in and brewed with me, and they went to other places to enjoy it. So there are a lot of different ways you can come into it. But my being the first African American woman to launch a commercial brand, that is really what it is. People say brewery, they say a lot of different things, but based on the information whomever has access to who made that statement, I didn't recognize Harlem Brewing Company as the first to launch a commercially distributed beer. But
mm,
there's a woman named Patsy Young in North Carolina who was brewing beer on selling it on the canal in Halifax that we're celebrating this year by the name of Patsy Young. She escaped freedom seeker who escaped the plantation, brewed for 14 years
mm,
and sold it all over the place. And she's very well known because it was captured in a slave ad that
mm,
she was a brewer and her name was Patsy Young. And thousands of us brewed beer. We made Uncle Nearest. You heard about that. Those stories all come from what we learned and created in the continent. So there are many, many of us who brewed beer. It's just the media and all these people haven't told those stories because it really reshapes the entire history. To discover someone like Patsy Young was doing this in 1808, that reshapes the whole history of brewing in America. And it's
mm.
hard for sometimes for people to go back and rewrite history. So it's a really rich history, as we will see in Ghana. I look forward to that. It's a really rich history that isn't just about getting saucy in the head. That's good. That's spiritual base. It's
Mhm.
about the community of it, how beer was used as a community part of it, weddings, celebrations. It was that wonderful, flavorful elixir that was part of the culture. So that's the part that I like to talk about because in the orientation that we've received, often talks about the non-spiritual side of it. I'm not trying to push beer or alcohol, but that is the origins. And I like cooking with it. And I like to
Mm.
talk about it from all the different sides.
Well, again, Celeste, I want to thank you for taking the time because obviously, with all of the stuff, you came here, but this is not a vacation. You came here and you came
I'm
here.
happy to be back. I love North Carolina. Obviously, the Great Migration. We know that story. My son is here. I'm actually speaking from his apartment, so I'm just happy to. I'm always happy to come back to my home, Harlem.
Well, I look forward for us taking a trip to Northern Ghana
Yes, let's
in
do
the
it.
very near future to let you kind of see uh, what it's like there. That will, I'm sure, inspire you to focus. Uh, right now, we want to get some of the Harlem Brew products there, and we'll talk about that at our next meeting. But again, Celeste Beatty, you are first, and I'm happy to have been able to be in your orbit. And I look forward to doing a number of things with you. We've been since the beginning, I guess, you know, you've always, since you started doing what you're doing in Harlem, you've always had some interface with either Harlem Week or the Chamber or some of the things that we've been doing. And
Absolutely.
that's and that's a good thing. And now we'll continue that relationship. So we'll catch up. That's a promise. If nothing else, we'll look at the 20th,
Oh
but
yeah,
hopefully we can
yeah,
talk before that. But
yeah, yeah. We can. There's some time in between. We'll figure out how to catch up and get together.
and
Morning would be good, I think, because most of the tastings are
uh,
12 p.m. up until 7 p.m.
yeah, so well, maybe we'll have a breakfast someplace.
I
But
look forward
anyway,
to it.
thank you, my dear. But then I won't be able to sample your beer.
Well, beer for breakfast. That's the thing.
Thank you. I appreciate you. We'll be in contact, and I look forward to our journey to Ghana together.
I look forward to it. I thank you, and I thank Matt. Good to see him again, and I look forward to joining you very soon in person.
Thank you, and again, I too would like to thank Matt for and the team for Soul City for providing the opportunity to talk to people like you, supporting our media that supports us is very important. We
Hmm.
can't expect others to do what we should do ourselves. And that's why with WACR, the fundraising or the things
You
that they're
got my
doing,
40, and then some.
we would always appreciate people uh, helping because again, it allows for us to have our own narrative, which is the beautiful thing about Soul City. It gives us a chance to create our own narrative. We've been all too often working on a narrative that we have not been able to create, that was created for us.
Mm.
Uh, you are an example of what happens when we create our own Celeste. So thank you so much for
Thank
making
you.
it.
Appreciate it.
And we'll see you. I will definitely see you before you leave.
Yes, I look
Okay.
forward to it.
And that pretty much ends our conversation. Um, it was a good one, and I, based on what her schedule is, it may not be reasonable to try to get her on before she leaves to North Carolina. But one great thing about Soul City is streaming TV. Wherever she is, we can always get back. So maybe when we come back again, we'll have more information about what's going on in Ghana and some of the other locations that she's in. And really, she has a new product that's coming out. It may be a way to promote that too. I'd like again to thank Soul City for providing this opportunity. It allowed for WACR to continue during the pandemic. It worked so well that now WACR, the radio program, and WACR, the streaming TV show, uh, will reach a larger number of people, and I really appreciate the support from Soul City. So this is Tony Rogers, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War on WHCR and Soul City. Take care. Bye.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Urbanology.